So, okay, so that is 17 minutes. I've now got 12 minutes left. I won't make this an interactive session. I will stop there. But just remember, it's about new markets, new media, consumer insight, and that horizontality that people work with. Right, who wants to kick off? Name and number. Come on, don't be shy. Good.
George Iliev, Amba.
Yeah. George
Iliev.
Okay, where from?
That's a Bulgarian name, not
Yeah.
Russian.
Okay, you're from Bulgaria.
I'm afraid I'll disappoint.
So you're from a growth market, Central East.
Somewhat.
Yeah. Challenging Bulgaria. Very challenging.
I would imagine. I was thinking WPP,
Yeah.
it seems similar to Nokia, the way
God,
you have
Nokia
transformed
is a major
in
client,
the
but
good
Nokia is not
times.
going through a particularly good time at the moment. Why is it similar to Nokia?
Well, wire and plastic you started with, and they started with rubber, and then it was transformed.
Yeah, but that's slightly different. We didn't start with wire and plastic, we had a choice, it was just a show.
Okay, do you see a parallel between any of your drive towards new media and, say, Nokia? Not at all.
No. I mean, we were a £1 million company. I bought with a colleague, I bought 29% because we couldn't afford to make a bid for the whole company. Totally different. But our objective was always to build advertising and marketing services. You go to that, the first document that we published in 1985, when we bought the shares, because they issued new shares to us and they had to have shareholder approval, we talked about building advertising. So there was no connection. Okay, who's next? Yeah.
Hello.
Ladies.
Yeah. Neha, and I'm from India.
Yeah.
So I have a quick question
Whereabouts? India is a big place.
Okay, Bombay, Mumbai.
Mumbai.
Yeah. So my question from Kingston Business School. Yeah, and my question is, what would you say are the 3 biggest challenges that you're facing in the Indian market at the moment?
In the Indian market?
Yes.
Well, you probably could say talent, actually, at the end of the day, because we have, I think it's 12,000 people, and, India is a big place, actually. I mean, it's not just, people think about it being Mumbai, or you might think about New Delhi or Bangalore, but it is, and we're probably in about, I would guess, well, we have a rural operation in India, which goes into the villages, which is doing sampling and product placement and all that sort of stuff, and doing government programs and things. So, but I think it is all about the time, because the rates of turnover, our rate of turnover globally is about 20%.
Okay.
In India, it would be closer to 25% or even a third. Now that's the average.
Yeah.
Now HR says high turnover, bad management. It isn't. Sometimes it is, but mainly it's due to growth. And I think the biggest issue, we have wonderful people in India.
Yeah.
The problem is, the convention in our industry is if you need talent, you nick it, you steal it. So the premium, you can't stop people going if they get a premium of 25 or 30% to do either the same job, maybe with a bigger title, or even a bigger job with a bigger title. So I would say the biggest issue is talent. It's not about finding good people, because you can get good people. I'm on the Indian School of Business Board. It's a great institution. It's not actually an accredited business school, which is just nonsense. But it's for technical reasons, because they want to be private, and they had a row with the Indian government, and they about funding and who funding, because it's actually privately funded, not state funded, and therefore it doesn't get you don't get an MBA when you go to the IESE.
You don't.
No, that's right.
No.
So it's not really finding talent, it's keeping the talent. So it's finding, incentivizing, motivating, keeping. So one of the things that we do is we rarely buy 100% of the business in India. So even with Ogilvy, which is #1, and JWT is #2 in the market, we own, I think, 75, 80% of it, and we have local ownership. Now, the downside of that is its fragmentation. People worry about the profitability of their vertical.
Yeah.
The upside is it gives some sort of retention device. The other thing the Indians love is training. And so, for example, I went to a session. Group M is our media business, 50% of the Indian market. So it's a very attractive destination, and they do like advertising. You know, David Ogilvy had all his books translated into Indian languages, dialects, and he loved to go there. To his dying day, he used to go on a boat. Didn't like to fly. He would take the boat and go to Mumbai, and you know, people would sit adoringly listening to him speeches on advertising. Quite right. So I would say it's talent. I don't think. I mean, the other sort of issues for us is how do we maintain our leadership position?
Yeah.
Because everybody's trying to play catch up, and it's very difficult for them to play catch up. It's how do we obviously keep the best talent. You know, you're going to have Indian agencies grow up, independent agencies. They tend to be dominated by foreign. That market tends to be dominated by foreign agencies, as do all the 4 BRIC markets. Yes. China totally so far, but China is going to produce good agencies. 1.3 billion people, 1.1, 1.2 billion in India, will produce better agencies than a country with 60 million people. You know, the trouble with the British and the Americans is, you know, with their 300 million, particularly in our industries. Yeah. We go to these countries and say, oh, the creative is rubbish. And, well, not rubbish, so we're more polite than that, but we say it's certainly not as good as ours. It's unrealistic to believe that that's going to continue. So if you take the 1.3 in China and the 1.2 in India, that's 2.5 billion people. You know, about a third, more than a third of the planet. The odds are they're going to produce better advertising agencies than 300 million people in the US and 60 million in the UK. So watch out would be things. But I think it all comes down to the talent.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. I've got a question on your motto. I've heard
my what?
Your motto. I've heard it in interviews a few
times. My motto?
Yeah.
Speed and persistence.
Speed and persistence.
Yeah.
Could you, one, elaborate on that? And two, as someone who's thinking of working in India. Sorry, my name's Jay from London. I've just done an MBA at Brunel Business School. As someone that's thinking of working out in India, how might that apply to the Indian market?
Well, I think actually it probably does apply to the Indian market too. I can't think of a market where speed and persistence are probably not important. I don't think it's brain surgery. I think we all, particularly in being in business school, you know, I went to business school for 2 years and you came out thinking you could run the world. And if you did think you could run the world, you weren't going to do it for about 20 years. It was very, you know, certainly we weren't what Mark Zuckerberg, you know, was running the world in 6 years or whatever. So I would, you know, the speed and persistence thing. I mean, when you get knighted, you go to the Royal College of Heraldry and you work. I work with the Herald on the Royal Shield, and then you can have it in either if you want. But I wanted it in the latter. Most of the actually, you should all go to the College of Heraldry. It's an amazing place. It was destroyed by the Great Fire in 1666, but they must have kept all the records because you can actually go back to 1066 and see the first shields, and every shield or every knight is hand inscribed in books. And there's I don't think I have all copy of the shields up there. You see the original shields from 1066, and you see them in, you know, and it's all beautifully painted. It's like monks writing, you know, illustrating a Bible, sort of like that. It's amazing. It goes back so many years. Wonderful for the Americans to see that. I don't really get public access, but it is fantastic. Anyway, but then you're asked for a contract. I would just say, you know, if you said to me what's important, I think you have to be very persistent. So persistata, I think it is. And celeritate, I think it is. Celeritate and speed. I think are important. And the trouble, you know, speed is very important in India, just as it is here, because, you know, I think lack of speed, and we were talking a little bit about superficiality. I think one of the biggest issues at the moment with new media is lack of depth. People don't dig down to the superficial. Woman at Sloan who asked me the question, you know, is your tax rate 2%? And I said, what are you talking about? Tax rate's not 2%. It's book rate is 22%. Look at the accounts, right? And what she had done, because I'm investigating what she'd done is she looked at a blog, Business Insider, Logic's site, which analysed companies on the percentage of revenues that they pay in tax. Which is a nonsense. Since when do people recognize a percentage of profitability? But it worried me that the 8th best business school, according to the FT, students were, what are they doing? They're going to their computers, picking up blogs, and assuming, as one of our people said, the only person who reads the blog is the blogger's mother. so yeah, it's not so. And I thought back to when I was doing case studies. So the case studies, you know, are rigorously done, they're rigorously approved, everything's checked. the paragraphs are organised, so you do speed reading. So the first sentence and the last sentence of every paragraph is the key part, and you can speed read it if you want. We were taught to do that. And the casebooks are all researched minutely. And what do students rely on now? And maybe a bit of that still, but then certainly half of it, and if I want to do my homework quickly, I just go online. Yes. And anything that appears in print. So there's dangers in speed, but basically, if somebody delays things, it's a negative. My view is that delay is a negative. My dad used to say that. And if I delay something, it's because I feel comfortable about the decision, or I don't have a, there's this fast and slow thinking book out at the moment by the Nobel, there's, and system 1 is the intuitive system, system 2 is the planned system, which takes a long period of time. And there's sort of an inbuilt bias in the book in a way to system 1, the intuitive response. I'm not so negative about system 1 and the intuitive response. I'm much more positive about that, because I think the intuitive reaction indicates not only knowledge, but it indicates or comfort, it indicates decisiveness. Delay is a negative. So that's what, I used to have a terrible phrase, which was a bad decision on Monday was better than a good decision on Friday, which is clearly wrong. But the essence of it.
But is there an increase in focus in the work you do?
Everything we do is we produce a corporate, go to the site, corporate social responsibility report, just like our annual report every year, which details what we do and what our clients do. So I would say virtually everything we do is geared around social change. I have to go. Right? I'm sorry. I have no choice.